Hello. Welcome to Nexon's series of review clips designed to assist you in preparation for your Biology 3201 public examination. In this clip, we'll be examining various modes of reproduction as they exist among organisms on this planet. We can really distill down modes of reproduction to two primary means. There are two main ways in which organisms reproduce or create offspring. The first of these is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is reproduction involving two sets of DNA or chromosomes. It involves a fusion of an egg nucleus and a sperm nucleus. This results in a combining of DNA from both parents. Fertilization, by definition, is the process of sperm nucleus meeting with the egg nucleus. And offspring resemble their parents but are not identical to them. The other mode of reproduction is asexual reproduction. Asexual meaning without sex. Asexual reproduction is reproduction involving only one set of DNA chromosomes. Offspring are normally created through mitotic divisions, and the offspring are clones or identical copies of the parent. Within the mode of asexual reproduction, there are several different means in which asexual reproduction can indeed occur. These consist of budding, firstly, and budding is when reproduction, where an entire outgrowth occurs on an organism that later breaks off and grows into an entire organism. One example of a species, an organism that reproduces through budding, are yeast and hydra. In essence, what happens is a yeast cell will grow a bud on it, an outgrowth, that in turn will eventually break off to form an entirely new organism. Binary fission is a mode of reproduction in which mitosis divides the DNA in an organism. The organism then splits to create two new organisms. Bacteria are a prime example of this. If we were to take a single bacteria cell with its circular DNA, the result would be, just as in mitosis, the production of two cells from one. Again, with a replicated copy of the DNA. Binary fission is virtually identical to mitosis. A third means of asexual reproduction involves the production of spores. And spore production involves mitotic cell divisions, a series of them, where a bunch of spores are created that individually can grow into new organisms. Spores, by definition, are small round structures that contain the diploid chromosome number of a parent cell. Spores are then released from spore sacs. The kingdom fungi commonly reproduces in this manner. The common bread mold reproduces through spore production. Fragmentation represents another mode of asexual reproduction. And in fragmentation, a portion of an organism breaks off. The broken piece is able to grow into a full organism. Cuttings or slips of houseplants that are placed in water and regrow roots and are then planted to reform a new houseplant provide an example of reproduction through fragmentation. We also have parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is when reproduction involves an organism producing haploid, unfertilized eggs that are able to grow into adults. This is common in the insect kingdom. The balsam woolly aphid, for example, wasps, the production of drones, the production of various members of the bee kingdom, all get reproduced through parthenogenesis. Whip-tailed lizards are another species which reproduce in this manner. So to summarize, both modes of reproduction, sexual and asexual, can be compared. With sexual reproduction, there are two sets of DNA, two parents. The offspring will resemble the parents, but they will not be identical, and it does involve a fertilization. Asexual reproduction, on the other hand, involves a single set of DNA, one parent. The offspring are exact genetic copies of the parent, and it can occur through budding, binary fission, spores, fragmentation, or parthenogenesis. Questions from past public examinations are provided here, an example of which I present. This one reads, which mode of reproduction involves an outgrowth on the parent organism? Spore production involves the production of diploid spores, which can go off and reform an organism itself. Fragmentation is a section of an organism breaks off, a plant cutting, a slip, by way of example. Fission commonly occurs in bacteria. It is really mitosis. The correct answer is A, budding. Budding, as occurs in yeast and hydra, is a mode of asexual reproduction that involves an outgrowth on the parent organism. Another question is presented as such. A tree produces only seedless oranges. A small branch cut from this tree produces roots after it is planted in soil. What type of fruit will most likely be produced when this tree matures? You have A, a majority of oranges with seeds, B, a majority of seedless oranges, C, only orange with the seeds, or D, only seedless. As this represents a mode of asexual reproduction, the branch, which provides an example of fragmentation, would produce a genetically identical plant. If the original tree produced only seedless oranges, you would expect the same from the transplanted plant, the fragmented plant. The answer then would be D, only seedless oranges. Again, from previous public examination, you're given a picture, a diagram to work your way through. The diagram below represents a yeast cell in the process of budding. Which best describes the bud? Again, because this is asexual reproduction, the answer is A. It will contain genetically identical chromosomes as the parent. And lastly for this clip, which organism is capable of asexual reproduction by spores? Hydra, earthworm, and amoeba all are capable of reproducing, but they do not reproduce through use of spores. The correct answer is B, bread mold. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you found this learning clip of use.